It's a question for Jim and also Julio. Julio's production the last several games is really amped up. Is that partly due to him getting healthier, or maybe partly due because teams now starting to focus on Mark, or maybe just because he just stepped it up?
Well, I think Julio's production's been fantastic. I mean, you'll watch video and there's times where 2.5 to 5 guys are over there covering him. So, with that being said, one thing that we make sure that we do offensively is one of our mottos is take what the defense gives you, and eventually they'll give you the game. So I think Greg's done a good job of not forcing it, and by doing that and involving other people in the game, I think has since helped Julio a little bit, maybe only getting a man and a half on him.
Okay, we'll go down the middle on the right.
Hi, Jim. Mike Rada, ABC Birmingham. How are you?
Good, bud.
If you could talk, and if Greg could also talk about Julio's unselfishness and how even when production wasn't up where he probably thought it should be, the way he was able to block downfield and do some of those other things. He's not your typical All-American who wants the ball all the time.
The one thing about this guy over here is it doesn't matter. He's in it for us to win. He's in it for Alabama, and you can just tell by the way he practices, the way he approaches the game, the way he approaches the meetings. I can't say enough good things about that. And having been at some other places and at some other levels, I think that's what's going to set him apart from a lot of people in this business. Go ahead, Greg.
I'll pretty much completely echo what Coach Mack said. I mean, he's not only does he have all the talent in the world, he's such a teammate. I mean, I've been around guys like Coach Mack my whole life. Guys just demanding the ball, making problems, making issues when they don't receive the ball. But Julio never complains, never. He just goes out there and works every day, and he's a joy to have in the locker room, a joy to have in the huddle, and obviously he's a joy to throw to. So that's really all I can say about him. I mean, he's a great player, and we're really happy to have him.
That'll be the last nice thing we say about Julio.
Okay, we'll go right. We'll go right in the front here, on your right.
Chase Goodred with the Tuscaloosa News. A question for Coach McElwain, and if I could get an answer from Greg to the same question. I want to ask you about the opening drives of games this year, Coach. It seems like an area y'all have struggled. I think the only touchdown was only touchdown was Kentucky. Is that an area that's been a concern this season, and how important is it to get off to a quick start in this game coming up?
Well, quick start's obviously important. I mean, I think a year ago we're really effective in our first 8 and the first things we do, and then this year we have not done a great job of it by any stretch of the imagination. Part of the things you want to do on your first drive is try to make sure you change a little field position and put the opponents down in their end of the field. And we haven't done that well this year. And when we do get off to a fast start, we play pretty well. But I think the thing that maybe we've done better this year has been finish, where maybe a year ago we weren't quite as effective on the finish end of it. And so, there's a happy medium there. And in a perfect world, you'd love to start fast and end strong. But, the other guys have scholarship players too.
I think just going back and kind of referring to what Coach Mack said is we have struggled a little bit in the first drive. I think if you go back and look at the statistics, we started Virginia Tech game with a completion. We started FIU with a completion. And then up until the Florida game, that was the only game we started with a completion. So I think that if you look at it like that, I think sometimes maybe as players we just got to get the anxiety out a little bit. Sometimes we got to get rolling a little bit. And one thing I will say is we have finished strong, and we've made the adjustments necessary to be successful. But when we get off to a fast start, I know that gives everybody confidence in our ability to execute. So it's something that we definitely will work on. It's something that we always make a point of emphasis, and it's something that we're going to continue to try to get better at.
Okay, we'll go down the middle, back right.
Alyssa McCaslin, News 8 Austin. This for Greg. Greg, do you think you played your best game against Florida, and will it or will it not be a challenge to repeat that against Texas defense?
Well, it's a challenge to play good against any good defense. I mean, it's difficult, and they're going to obviously bring their best foot forward and make things difficult for me as a quarterback. Coach Muschamp does a great job in their scheme and confusing quarterbacks, and obviously they have great talent and speed around. They fly around the ball and they make things difficult for opposing quarterbacks. But I played well against Florida. We missed a few. Until you go out there and play the perfect game, how can you say that you played as well as you can play? I think that's just the competitor in me. I think that's just the fact that, as an offense, we always, try to go out there and do the right thing. And obviously, we run what Coach Mack calls, and we execute just like we do in practice. So it just depends on the situation. I think that Florida had a great defense. We had a great game plan. We went out there and executed almost to perfection. But until you go 18 for 18 for 404 touchdowns, then it's not a perfect game. So continue to get better, always working, and just focus on the things you messed up on in Florida and try to obviously better improve on them in the Texas game.
Down the middle on the left.
Mike Darberly from Fox 6 out of Birmingham. Julio, just to follow up on my question earlier, you've really come up with some big clutch catches in some big games here down the stretch. So even though being unselfish as you are, do you also as a competitor late in these games say, I want to take over? Is there a part of you that comes out in that?
Nah, I mean, Coach Mack's the coach, so I just let him make all the decisions. And, I just play my part. Whenever they need me, I step up. And then, they just have confidence in me. And, in a particular part of the game, if it's a clear situation and they have confidence in me. So, I just don't want to disappoint. So.
Down the middle on the right.
And Julio, Mike Rada, ABC Birmingham, just kind of following up on the unselfishness question. Has it been difficult for you this year, after the year you had, to kind of accept the role that has kind of developed for you? And also, what satisfaction do you get out of being the downfield blocker, and how much does Mark Ingram appreciate that?
He appreciated it a lot. But, I guess I'm not your average receiver. I really don't care about, stats and everything. I just go out there and play the game like it's supposed to be played and try to block. And it's just it's just like how I was raised, I go out there and give my all and not be selfish.
Down the middle on the left.
Yeah, Greg.